So, when I ask, what is Odoo? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
If you want to feel more connected to humanity and a little less alone, listen to Beautiful Anonymous. Each week, I take a phone call from one random anonymous human being. There's over 400 episodes in our back catalog. You get to feel connected to all these different people all over the world. Recent episodes include one where a lady survived a murder attempt by her own son. But then the week before that, we just talked about Star Trek. It can be anything. It's unpredictable. It's raw. It's real. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.
His wife Haley's story of living with and dying from ovarian cancer received over 160 million views on social media. A lot of people have wanted to talk to you about this.
I wanted to come on here and continue to preach what she taught me about life. That was the biggest burden I've ever carried, of knowing her fate. She says, I can't give you kids, but I can give you a son.
What were the final words Haley told your son Weston before she passed? We're talking about a topic that, while hard to discuss, impacts us all. Death, loss, and grieving. But the face of grief and how we deal with it is changing. These days, younger generations are taking to social media platforms to share their pain. They're doing it more openly and directly. Now, Taylor Odlozil is one of those people. His wife Haley's story of living with and dying from ovarian cancer received over 160 million views on social media. Now, they made the decision to share their journey together. In a TV exclusive, Taylor is here to share Haley's final days, how he found hope after her death, and his life now as a single father.
When I first saw Haley, it took my breath away. We dated all through high school, college, and 10 years ago, I proposed to her.
It's a beautiful day. Taylor and Haley, take New York.
A year after we got engaged, she was having some health issues and gaining weight, and so she went to the doctor, and the doctor comes in, she's got tears in her eyes and says, you have advanced ovarian cancer. And I'd never felt a fear like that in my life.
What surgery number is this for us?
12.
I'm tired of hospitals.
Me too.
April of 2016, we had a major surgery that lasted almost 9 hours. They removed both ovaries, her uterus, a foot of her colon, 4 lymph nodes, her appendix, her spleen, her gallbladder. But not only that, they were able to remove 100% of visible cancer, which was honestly a miracle.
We just got back from seeing Dr. Chi that we're all clear to go start our lives.
And so that was the time we decided to move forward with surrogacy. And so she could be a mother and I could be a dad.
I've always wanted a baby.
January of 2019, our son Weston was born. That was the greatest day. Within a year of Weston being born, after dealing with cancer for 7 years, then the cancer started coming back.
I hate this.
I remember when the doctor told us, Haley just said, I guess this is it then.
So when you can't see Mommy, where am I?
In your heart.
In your heart.
By July, she'd been in hospice for 7 months, and she had fought to the end. So I brought Weston in. He got up and gave her a kiss on the cheek. She kind of woke up and looked at him and said, I love you, Weston. She passed away 2 days later.
Wow. Well, Taylor, thanks for being here.
Of course, I'm appreciative to be here and continue the story and keep the conversation going about, the hardships of losing a loved one. And it's something we all go through. Everybody in this life is going to lose somebody at some point.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have wanted to talk to you about this. Why did you decide to do it here, and why now?
I try to live by what Haley, asked me to promise her, and that was to live my life to the fullest and to continue her message going forward and to keep her memory alive. Her greatest fear was being forgotten. And I said, I'm never going to let you be forgotten. And nothing fires me up more than talking about her, 'cause she's the greatest person I've ever known. And I wanted to come on here and continue to preach what she believed and what she taught me about life. And I never dreamed I would be here talking to you about her. I mean, I'm just blown away. So very grateful.
She would approve?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Okay. She would be very proud.
Did you ever imagine when you started kind of doing a video diary of this and unfolding it, that it would get such attention and be such an inspiration to people? I mean, 160 million views.
From the very beginning, I just had this weird belief that our story would actually get out there because it just is a powerful story. I did some original videos years ago, right after she got sick, just trying to keep our family informed. But really when I posted in November of 2022, after we found out we were at the end of the road, and that's when it just went crazy. I mean, just exploded.
Take me through the moment when you first heard that she had this diagnosis and that it was very, very serious.
We were 2 months from getting married. I had just recently graduated from A&M in petroleum engineering, and we had the world ahead of us. Very excited for our future, and she had been having some issues and some bloating issues and weight gain and energy, and so she finally went to the doctor and got an ultrasound to kind of see what was going on there, and then they quickly realized they needed to do a CT scan. So we did that a few days later, and I was at work. She called me, said, I've got a grapefruit-sized mass in my abdomen, and I've got an appointment with an oncologist at noon. Can you come home? And I mean, she's sobbing. I can barely understand her. And I said, of course, I'll be there. I jumped in the car, and I remember driving home just praying out loud, Lord, let me have kids. Please don't take that from me and Haley. I want kids, and got home. She was still freaking out, and I was trying to stay calm. And so we went to the appointment, and I was so naive at that age. I think I was 23, 24, that we walked into the waiting room, and I saw people that were bald with no hair. And then I realized an oncologist was a cancer doctor. And then I'm like, this isn't happening. And I just started panicking and freaking out and internally trying to keep it together. And they called her back and went back there, and the doctor comes in and opens the paperwork and looks up, and she's got tears. And she said, I've been doing this a long time, and by the looks of your scans that I'm looking here, you have ovarian cancer, and if you do, it's advanced. And we were just shocked. The room goes quiet, just like they show in the movies. And so the first thing Haley says is, please tell me I can have children. And she said, unfortunately, you're going to have to worry about that later because you're fighting for your life. And then everything just seemed to spiral out of control. I experienced a debilitating fear that I can't put into words. We were about 2 months from getting married and, looking forward to moving forward with that. And, this actually is just heartbreaking for me to think about. But that night, she sat me down and said, if you would like to move on, I don't blame you. I'm going to give you nothing but a broken life, and you deserve the world, and you've worked hard, and you deserve a good life. And it just broke me for her to be that low, but that mature, to be like, I release you, like, because we weren't married yet. And I said, are you crazy? Like, we're riding this together. Like, I hope you would stand by me. And she was like, of course I would. And I was like, well, then let's figure out what we're going to do. Let's get this solved.
And you did get married?
Yep, we did get married. 2 months later, she did 9 weeks of chemo, lost her hair. Fortunately, we were able to do first look photos within a few days of the diagnosis. She wanted to take pictures in her wedding dress with her hair, in her natural body before she was loaded up with steroids from the chemo. So then got married in February of 2016, and it was a great day, but it was a day with a cloud over it. It was just hard to concentrate.
And what happened 3 days after the wedding? Let's discuss preparedness, because we know emergencies happen when we least expect them, but instead of just taking it, we can prepare. Let's discuss Jace Case, one of your most important preparation tools. With Jace Case, you'll have emergency prescription medications on hand right when you need them. Think about it. Ever been caught off guard? Whether it's a sudden illness or a travel hiccup, the right medications can make all the difference. Jace Case is designed to take that worry off your plate, so when a minor health issue pops up, it doesn't turn into a major problem. Don't let unforeseen circumstances derail your plans or your peace of mind. Live with confidence. Take charge with Jace today. Visit jace.com and use code PHIL for a discount on your order, and get emergency antibiotics on hand for the moment you need them. That's JASE.com, code PHIL, PHIL. Have you heard about the so-called silent tax? It could be the biggest threat to your savings in 2025. I'm talking about inflation, out-of-control prices, a shrinking dollar, and less buying power for hardworking people like you. I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. What are you going to do to protect what's yours? Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free Precious Metals Guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil, that's DRPHIL, to 50505 today. What happened 3 days after the wedding?
3 days later, she got her scan to see how the chemo, if it did what we needed it to do, so we could do a surgery. And the doctor comes in and says, it did not work. We've got tumor growth all over, nothing shrunk. And she just had this tone and this sense that she wanted to say more, but wasn't. And I just had this need to find out what was going on. So I asked everybody to step out, and I wanted to talk to the doctor alone. And I was sitting there, and I looked up at her and I said, she's dying, isn't she? She said she's got probably 6 months. And so I just married her 3 days ago, and now I find out she's not going to make it. And I broke down, and she comforted me, and I told her, I said, I can't tell Haley that. Like, you're going to have to tell her that. And she said, the only reason I didn't tell her is because you are about to go on your honeymoon. I want her to enjoy that and not worry about this. And I also want another week to kind of see if I can come up with another plan. And I said, all right. So I went on that honeymoon knowing that was probably our last trip, and that was the biggest burden I've ever carried, of knowing her fate, but luckily it turned out that there was another plan that God had in store and gave her a lot more life, and which was such a blessing.
And how much time did you have after that?
We got home from the honeymoon. Her doctor said, I know of a surgeon in New York, and he is the best ovarian cancer debulking surgeon in the world. if anyone could help you, it's him. So surgery turned out to be 9 hours, and they removed so many body parts that I didn't even know that you could live without.
Yeah.
And ended up removing 100% of visible cancer, which I thought was a miracle. Now, he made it very clear that, she wasn't cancer-free. She still had microscopic cancer cells, but any visible tumors he removed.
And you had quality time.
Yes. She went from having massive tumors all over to nothing. And so that definitely gave us years. She was diagnosed in 15 and passed away in 23. So a lot more than 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 8 years.
Yeah.
And you did have a child.
Yeah. So we got to a point where her health was in a good spot. This was around 2018. We found a drug that seemed to maintain the tumor growth at what it was and seemed to keep it at a steady level. And the doctor truly felt that we had a really good longevity estimate for her. Because if we were going to bring a child into this world, we wanted to have a lot of time. And Haley deserved to be a mom. She was put on this planet to be a mom. I can tell you that 100%. So we decided to move forward. And what's really cool about this story that I think is amazing is we have a family friend that Haley nannied for. And on our wedding night, she came up to Haley and said, if you ever are in a place to have children, I will be your surrogate. And she reminded us every year, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to do it. So we took her up on the offer and found an egg donor. And part of the plan was Haley always wanted a girl and I always wanted a boy. And we agreed that the healthiest embryo is the one we would transfer. And so we go into the appointment and doctor says, all right, healthiest embryo you want is it's a girl. And I go, what about the second one? He goes, it's a girl. I was like, man, strike two, And I said, number 3. And he said, boy. And so I was just ready to move forward with the girl. And Haley looks up and she goes, let's transfer the boy. And I go, what? She says, I can't give you kids, but I can give you a son. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I love that boy with my whole heart, and I'd die for him. And he's been my saving grace, and I'm so glad that I had my boy, my best friend, and we do everything together. He just follows me everywhere.
I understand. Well, despite losing the love of his life way too soon, Taylor says being an amazing father to their son is not only what Haley wanted, it's what's really kept him going. And we're going to have more on that after the break. Taylor and Haley's story garnered hundreds of millions of views online. And Taylor says it's their son, Weston, and wanting to be the best father possible that makes every day worth living.
Since Haley passed away, I miss her terribly. But I would say Weston being in my life has been a saving grace for me. Weston has become my best friend. We love to go hunting and fishing. He's a great little baseball player, and that's what I grew up playing, and I love working with him with that. And occasionally he'll come up to me and he'll be really sad. He misses his mother, and we pray every day. We pray before we eat our meals. I'll just tell him that Jesus came to take Mom home. I'm so blessed to have him, and that he's so much like Haley because I feel like she's still here. Obviously, when you lose a loved one and you're going through grief, it's extremely easy to get stuck in those negative thoughts. I've been blessed to have health to continue to live, to be able to get up every day. I've got to take advantage of those blessings. I'm not doing Haley justice if I don't go out there and live.
Taylor, what were the final words that Haley told your son Weston before she passed?
I had been telling Weston for all he's ever known since birth is that Mommy was sick and was a little different than most mommies and couldn't do everything. And so, I never sugarcoated anything with that boy, and I still don't. I treat him older than he is because life's going to be hard and it's not easy. So we'd been explaining over the past year before she passed that Jesus was coming, that she was going to go home to heaven. So when that day came where she was really starting to slip into that coma state, that sleep state, and I wanted her to at least be able to talk to Weston. And he was at summer camp and at the church. And so we went and got him, brought him in, and I sat him down, and it was just me, Haley, and Weston. And I just asked him, do you understand what's going on? And he gave me this look like he knew, but didn't quite understand. And so I said, Daddy's been saying that Mommy's going to go home to heaven. Well, it's about to happen. And not right now, but within the next few days, I think. And I want you to have some time with Mommy. And I said, it's nothing that you did wrong. You didn't cause any of this. You're an amazing son. You're the best little boy. The reason Mom is still here is because of you. And you are the saving grace for both of us. And there's nothing you did wrong. Because sometimes kids will think it's their fault. And he grabbed her hand, and that caused her to kind of wake up a little bit. And she said, I love you, Weston. And she laid her head back down, and that was the last thing she ever said. And she passed away 2 days later.
Does he remember that?
Yes and no. I think he does. He has mentioned it before. I did get it on video for me and him to have for our life, and it's private for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wanted him to have that one day if he wanted to see his last few moments with his mother. Whether he wants to see it, it's up to him. But I wanted him to have that if he wanted it.
Your body is a system, and when it's running right, you feel focused, energized, in flow, but sometimes we struggle to find that flow state. Why? Because there's too much static in our system, brain fog, fatigue, and inflammation. The Echo Flask clears the static by infusing your water with molecular hydrogen, a natural science-backed gas that helps your body think sharper, recover faster, and run smoother. This is more than hydration. It's better focus, more energy, faster recovery, less internal stress, and longer-term benefits that keep you sharp. When your water works harder, your whole system does too. Find your flow state with the Echo Flask hydrogen water bottle and get an unlimited supply of hydrogen water at home and on the go. Visit echowater.com/Phil and use code Phil for 10% off. That's echowater.com/Phil. Enter code Phil to save 10%. The next time you gather with family, enjoy Balance of Nature supplements as an addition to your favorite dishes. Our veggie supplement, made from 15 ingredients like garlic, onion, and cayenne pepper, can easily be opened and added to your favorite dishes like homemade soups or dips. Not to mention our fruits supplement, which is made from 16 ingredients like banana, strawberries, and mango, making it a great addition to your homemade smoothies. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first preferred set as a new preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Dr. Phil. That's DRPHIL. What do you do to keep her memory alive with him?
I talk about her every day. There's not one thing in my house that's changed. Every night before bed, we say our prayers, and I always open the floor to him if he wants to talk to Mommy. Some nights he does, some nights he doesn't want to. And there's nothing quite as heartbreaking than listening to your son talk to his deceased mother at night. I mean, it is heartbreaking to listen to because his mind doesn't fully understand. And he's asking, can you come back? I want to see you again. And it's just, but he's so mature and loving. And I just am so blessed that I get to call him my son.
he's at an age where those memories are fragile.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep that alive for him.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's so painful that people say, I don't want to talk about that. And that's very selfish because he needs that to bridge across that decay so he doesn't feel so guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll help him tremendously if you'll give him that gift.
Oh, I don't waste an opportunity to talk about it, that's for sure.
What have you done with the anger at this being taken away from you and from him?
I used to be very angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at my situation. I had a victim mentality, a poor me attitude. This was in the middle of the caregiving where I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Not that I was honored to take care of her, but there's probably multiple caregivers in here, but it can wear on you. It's hard. Dealing with that day in and day out, I was very angry. But I honestly can sit here and tell you today, I have zero anger. I'm sitting here with nothing but gratitude in my heart for what the time I did get and for what she did teach me. And I know because of my faith that I'll see her again. And I hold on to that. And I believe very strongly that the Lord doesn't do things to people. He allows things to happen. And I look at what has come from this story, what he's used her to do. And I'm just, like I said, sitting here with nothing but a heart full of gratitude, grateful and thankful for what she has taught me in my young life. And just so, I said it earlier. I was 23 years old, sitting in my truck. She just told me that I could leave. I'm crying. I think my life is over. I don't see a future for me, but I know what I need to do. And I thought it was over. And now I'm sitting here talking to you, telling her story. How can you not believe that there's a God, that there's a greater plan for all of us?
Caregivers have often told me that they experienced a sense of guilt at feeling a relief of a lifted burden when the person passed. Did you experience any of that?
Obviously, towards the end, I was exhausted. Mentally, physically, was not sleeping very much. Just the amount of care she needed, doing laundry, also taking care of Weston. And don't get me wrong, her family, I am so close with her parents and her sister, and we're very close, and they were there every second too, as much as they could be, and staying the night and helping me, and they were very helpful. But it's hard to watch your loved one look like that,
right?
And to watch her suffer. And so you do juggle with this weird, like you want them to live, but you don't want them to suffer.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
So it's this constant juggling thing you're doing mentally, and in hospice care, you're also trying to live, but you're also waiting around for someone to die in a weird way. When they get to that ending point. And I would say I didn't feel guilty because I knew that I had given it my all. I didn't have anything to hang my head about, and I knew, I'm a very black and white thinker. Like I knew when she passed that I was going to gain a lot of time back of my own life. But that's why I put everything I had into her at the end, because I didn't want to have any regrets. I wanted to spend every second I could with her. And I'm so grateful for the time that we had in hospice, because I learned a lot about the hospice journey that I didn't quite understand till I went through it.
Well, hospice is a true gift, and skilled hospice nurses and all are truly angels on earth. And we're going to meet a woman who deals with dying and death every day, and says Taylor and Haley's choice to stop treatment and go into hospice care was the most beautiful gift Haley could have given her family. We're going to add her to this conversation when we come back. Well, my next guest, Julie, better known on social media as hospice nurse Julie, is the author of Nothing to Fear, Demystifying Death to Live More Fully. Now, she says talking about the details and the dying process is exactly what we need to do.
As a hospice nurse, I'm trying to help people die in peace. Everyone that comes on hospice has either declined further treatment or they've exhausted all treatment. There's a doctor, there's a nurse, a social worker, a chaplain. It's spiritual, emotional, physical, mental, all the things. Try to treat the whole person to help make this as easy and as peaceful as possible. The gift of hospice is time. You know, this is the person's end of life journey. That's why hospice is so beautiful. We have to bring people together to have those moments before that person dies. Because so many times people die in an instant and they're not given that luxury. So people always think hospice nursing is depressing. Watching someone take their last breath on hospice with friends and family around, it's like witnessing a birth. All I see is love.
Well, Julie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You were an ICU nurse.
Yes.
Why did you choose to switch over to hospice? Because that's a big switch.
Big switch. I was an ICU nurse for 8 years. And during that time, slowly but surely, as I gained confidence in what I was doing as a nurse, I started getting a voice and becoming an advocate for people that I felt like we were doing a disservice to by keeping them alive in the ICU. Now, not everyone, of course, ICU is amazing, but certain circumstances, it's like prolonging life at all cost was doing a disservice, which eventually led me to hospice.
I've wondered about and talked about this. I've been involved over my career in a lot of airline crashes and people so severely injured, and particularly with severe burns. We now have the technology to keep those people alive. And I really wonder sometimes if the science has outstripped morality where it's not a gift.
You're speaking my language. I mean, I couldn't agree more. People working in healthcare are not taught about death and dying. I swear, I went through nursing school. I don't think I learned about death and dying and how our body dies. We need time to talk with patients and families about what's truly happening with their loved one, what this is really going to look like if they do survive, and if they even can survive. And whenever we do that, whenever I did that as an ICU nurse, the patients were always taken off machines by the family because the family wanted that. But it took us having meetings and time with the patients and families to explain what was going on for them to even get it, for them to understand.
Yeah, and your book is amazing, by the way. And you talk about having a good death. What do you mean by that?
So a good death, peaceful death, however you want to talk about it, I think is one where the family understands what death and dying looks like. People will linger usually for a few days, unconscious, not eating and drinking. They might breathe a little different. And families look at that and they think, emergency, something's wrong. We need to do something, fix this. And in reality, it's normal. It's how someone dies, right? So preparing yourself in that way, knowing what death really looks like, can help you have a peaceful environment, at least, around that death.
How does hospice help people have a good death?
Oh man, yeah, I could talk about this forever. So we have a full team of people that helps you with all areas. So the symptom management of the person who's dying. We have a social worker to help with family dynamics and just talk about the situation at hand. Chaplain, doctor, a CNA to help with hygiene and support the family. 24-hour number, so a nurse can come to your house anytime, day or night, no matter what's going on. It's bringing healthcare to your home so you can live out the rest of your life. That's my main thing. People think hospice is about dying. People are dying on hospice, but the whole point is so they can live out the rest of their life.
More. Yeah, exactly.
I love you and Haley. That video, even me watching me cry makes me cry again. It's just so beautiful, that video.
Yeah, and your body actually helps you die, and we'll talk about that after the break. Julie shares some of the remarkable things she's witnessed, and we'll share those after the break. Well, we're back, and we're talking about the hospice process right now, and this was very meaningful for you guys, right? Mm-hmm. It created quality instead of struggle. Mm-hmm.
I thought hospice was a death sentence, and Haley and I were afraid of that term. But what we really learned was that it's when you finally put your hands up and you're like, let's just live. We stopped having to go to the doctor 2-3 times a week. And we just decided, like, let's go live. And that's why we started taking all these trips and had these experiences. And that's when I was documenting all of that and showing that. And it really, I was trying to show the world that just because you're on hospice doesn't mean that your life is over. And I understand that some people on hospice, their situations might be different, but
Sure.
Haley really had good health to start hospice out, so we really went for it. And I mean, what's crazy is we were in the Bahamas for her last trip ever at the end of June, and she passed in the middle of July. I mean, we lived up until the end.
Rather than your life being in a waiting room, she died as a wife and a mother instead of as a patient.
Yeah.
And she took back her power.
Yeah.
You've seen some amazing things in hospice, and people have had some amazing experiences.
People think being a hospice nurse is depressing. Yes, it's sad. It can be sad. But the love that I've witnessed, being an ICU nurse, thinking I knew everything and how to keep someone alive, watching the first year when I was a hospice nurse, watching the body know how to die. We had to give medicines for certain symptoms and things, but the body knows how to die. It helps us die. That right there was mind-blowing to me. Then watching the families and the patients all be together. And like you said, it can be uncomfortable, watching your loved one in those last days, but you stayed. Yeah. But you were there. Like, that makes me want to cry right there, just the love that people experience. And then on top of that, I'm a science girl over here, but there are deathbed phenomena that happen at the end of life, not to everybody, but enough that even me as a hospice nurse, I educate my families about things that might happen. They might have visioning where they see dead relatives, dead loved ones, old pets that have died. The rally where someone gets the surge of energy right before they die, choosing when you're going to die. These things I've seen, countless times as a hospice nurse that I would have never believed unless I saw it with my own eyes.
One of my areas of focus was medical psychology, and so I work with chronic disease management, a lot oncology population, and I've seen patients in hospice rally literally moments before they died, where they went from being completely incoherent to, like, all of a sudden sitting up, recognizing everybody in the room, making clear pronouncements, and moments later, they're gone.
Yeah, exactly. And it happens enough that I always educate the families about it so they can kind of be aware of it up front, so they can know what's happening. Because a lot of times the rally is missed. People don't realize it's the rally, and then they suddenly die.
Yeah. And the body does help us die. It knows what to do. Calcium levels rise. The body does become sleepy, and hunger and thirst centers shut down. These endorphins that you might have experienced as a runner's high, those create these feelings of euphoria. So the person that's dying, their experience is not one of fear and clinging. It's a completely different experience.
Right. I think understanding what actively dying looks like, which is the last phase of life, will really help people to understand that during that time, most likely calcium levels are up, which makes you sleep all the time. So you're real sleepy. You're not laying there hungry and thirsty, because that's been kind of long gone usually. That cuts out 3 months before death usually. And the less we mess with that dying process, the better the person usually is. Like, I liken it to a baby. Like a baby, if the baby's not okay, they can't verbally tell you, but they can show you. They can be restless and crying and agitated. A dying person will also do that. If they're just laying there, but they look a little different because they're breathing kind of funny, which is a metabolic response, by the way.
Yeah.
They're okay. They're okay, because if they weren't, they'd let you know through movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here to talk about that.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. Before we go, there's just one more guest left to meet, and he might be the most special of them all. That's next. Well, before we say goodnight, Taylor and Haley's son, Weston, may not realize the impact his mother had on the world just yet, but in time, he'll learn that his mother touched millions of lives. Please welcome Weston.
Oh my God, I can't. Taylor, oh my God.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, Daddy.
What do you say, buddy?
Say hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
You look pretty sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah, you dress just like your dad.
Yes.
Yeah, you dress like this every day?
Not every day.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So I watched you a few minutes ago throwing a baseball. You got a pretty good arm on you. You like to play baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten? Yeah. So what do you like to do?
I like to stay home with my daddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like to play golf together,
Mm-hmm.
and baseball,
Uh-huh.
bike rides, all that good stuff.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about being on television?
Cool.
Yeah. Well, we just thought it would be great to meet you. Your dad's really proud of you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You proud of your dad?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I'm awfully glad to meet you. So thanks for coming out and saying hi to us.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we go, I would like to take a moment to celebrate Haley's life, and you're okay with Weston sharing this as well. So let's take a look.
So when you can't see Mommy, where am I?
In your heart.
In your heart.
Happy birthday! Oh my goodness. Here, Mama.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, baby. I love you. Give me a hug.
Love you. I love you.
Thank you so much for being here, and good night.